Hello, welcome to the Craig Dallas Rice Show. Today I have Jodi K. Newell, and she is our guest and going to tell us about Wolf PAC. What is Wolf PAC? We're going to find out. She has been involved with that and is a leader in the group, and just can't wait for her to tell us. So without further ado, Jodi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
I've been wanting to have you on. You finally found the time to do it, so thank you. Could you just tell us, just right off the start, what is Wolf PAC and how did you become involved?
So Wolf PAC is an organization of volunteers across the country that are working in their local legislators to get a constitutional amendment by the alternate route through the Constitution. So there's Article 5 of the Constitution. There's a couple different ways to do it through Congress.
Right.
With this issue, it's a little tricky to do that because the people in Congress have come up that way, and so we're going for the People's Convention. So it's called an Article 5 convention, and then we can propose a constitutional amendment to deal with the issue of money in politics.
Right. Well, we can go into more detail on that in just a few minutes. Right now, I have some videos that I would like to kind of use to introduce a little bit more about what's going on that I found. I tell you what, Dave, could you play that first video, the very first one? Oh. Okay, so so that is not the kind of wolf pack we're talking about, right?
No.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe people would like to see some cute little wolf puppies.
I liked it. That was great.
I wish we could have watched it a little longer, but this is a short show, so. Okay. Now, there is another one that does a little bit more to explain what Wolf PAC is about. So, if Dave, could you please put that video on?
Tonight, we're going to start a fight to take back our democracy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to commend my colleague, Senator Miller, on this, a very important issue. We're moving, unfortunately, ever increasingly in a direction of, instead of having elections, they're becoming auctions. And I think we need to address this very serious situation. And I thank all those who came up and demonstrated. It does make a difference, and I encourage you to stay involved.
And I, too, join Senator Miller and all our colleagues, but especially to the advocates that have been here day in and day out. The Wolf PAC is a movement that is going throughout the country, and I congratulate them for their efforts in getting involved, especially many of you who, for the first time, showed up, and now you're seeing how you're making a difference. So stay involved, and I hope everything goes well.
So what we've done with Wolf PAC all across the country is given people the tools to have access to their legislatures, many of these people for the very first time.
So I just met up with Delegate Jazz Lewis, and he was a classmate of my sister at College Park. He's a co-sponsor of our bill, so it was cool to see him. I never met him before today, but I recognized his face from Facebook. So I just went up to him, shook his hand, started talking to him, and he gave me his card to get in contact with him.
I'm glad that I'm actually showing that I care, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm not just reposting that I care. I'm not just telling my friends, hey, this is something I am in favor of. I am out here proving it.
This resolution, I believe, is actually just pushing us forward into the opportunity to continue to voice our opinions as Americans when our own government is faulty.
Our committee asks you to join us in taking this bold step. And yes, I do think this country listens to Vermont, little Vermont. I was here when we passed civil unions, the proudest moment of my life in this body. And look now, civil unions, that's passé. Vermont does lead, and they do listen to us.
Obviously, the Supreme Court hasn't moved, Congress hasn't moved. This is a great way to put pressure, and this is a great way for Maryland to step up and put pressure to get, obviously, get the money out of politics and restore some sort of clarity and integrity to our electoral system. So
it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat. The citizens of this country get it, and they're completely fed up with the corruption happening in B.C.
My name is Alex Paxton, and this is...
Christina Coulter.
Yeah, we both live in North Laurel in Howard County. Pendergrass is a delegate of ours. HJ6 is important to us. We think that dark money in politics is having a corrosive influence, and we'd like her to support it.
Just enter on there.
That was great, man. I just kind of threw you in the fire there, but it's always better coming from a constituent, a single contact from a constituent. She's going to get that put in front of her, that this bill and that people showed up from her district and they support it.
So we're not high-priced lobbyists. We're individual people just showing people how much their voice matters.
Research scientist, software developer,
senior in high school,
business owner and a mom,
graphic designer,
student at the University of New Mexico,
naturopathic physician,
farmer,
volunteer at Wolf PAC.
There was a reason why the ability to call an Article 5 convention was put into the Constitution so that the people can be a check against Congress. Congress is doing what they want for their donors. They are not concerned with what their constituents want.
We have made our presence known again, and every year that we are there, it becomes stronger.
Thousands of people out there who just are like giving up because they don't think anything's going to happen, but they actually have to get up and fight for what they think is right.
We will not give up until we have a 28th Amendment.
One of the guys that worked with us from the very beginning, his name is Charlie Cooper. He's inspiring to me because he's a retired guy. He's supposed to be spending his time going to Florida or stuff like that.
Delegate O'Donnell, how are you?
Looking forward to sitting down and talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hi.
Charlie, how you doing?
But instead, he works 40 hours a week plus working on this resolution. His energy for his age is extremely inspiring. And, I always think if he can do that, if he can come down here, I can find the time as well.
People don't know the power they have until they use it. Because there is no feeling greater to know that not only has your voice been heard, but it's actually effective.
Hey y'all, this is Jodi. I am at the New Hampshire State House. I just had my first Citizen Action Day, my first official Citizen Action Day at the New Hampshire State House, and meeting with our senators trying to get our resolution passed. It was a great morning. It was really awesome. We got to meet with a couple senators, just kind of catching them in their office in between and, letting them know really quick that why we believe in this and that we really hope that they'll support it. And all in all, really positive. We made an appointment for next week to come back and talk to a couple of senators who weren't available today, but will be available next Tuesday. So we're going to come back and talk to them, myself and one of the other Wolf PAC volunteers. And I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited that that I was able to do this. It's really cool. I was really nervous this morning. It's one thing to send emails or to talk on the phone or to whatever, but I really got to come here and talk to them and tell them how I feel about it. And I got past my nerves and was able, and I probably was a little jittery, but that's okay. I think that's okay. I'm just an average citizen. This isn't my job. I'm not a lobbyist, but I care a lot about it. So, so I pushed myself to do something that was a little scary maybe. And I'm really excited that I did it. And all in all, a really positive experience. So, just being the wolf.
All right. Well, that tells a little bit about what Wolf PAC is trying to do. I heard some, terms in there like the 28th Amendment. Can you tell me what is the 28th Amendment about?
Well, so the Constitution has been amended 27 times since 1787. So they, of course, at first there was the Bill of Rights. Those all came at once, and since then we've used various methods to get it done. So this is our generation's issue. I think the founders intended for it to be a living document so that it could be amended when there was something that was so much of a concern that it was something that needed to be handled. Right now, 93% of Americans poll that they care about that they think money is a corrupting influence in politics.
Right.
And so if 93% of America agrees on one thing and the Congress isn't addressing it, we really need to do something about it. So this is kind of our foundational issue that warrants an amendment at this time.
Right. You know, when I hear money out of politics or money involved in politics, I think of the term Citizens United, which to me is the most, like, that's not really what it's about. I mean, it's not uniting citizens.
Oh no!
You know,
I
think the 7% of the people that were not for getting money out of politics probably got confused by the name Citizens United. You know, I mean, or they just had so much money they just thought, hey, you know, don't want anybody telling me what to do with my money or whatever. You know, so tell us a little bit more about how Wolf PAC is involved in trying to get this 28th Amendment ratified, I guess.
Yeah, so the way the process works, that it's laid out in Article 5 of the Constitution. There are two ways, like I mentioned before. I guess I got a little ahead of myself.
That's okay, yeah.
But there are two ways. One is by Congress, 2/3 of Congress proposing an amendment, agreeing on an amendment, and then they put it out to the states. 3/4 of the state legislatures have to sign on to it for it to be ratified and become part of the Constitution. That's how we've done it every other time since
coming from the U.S. Congress.
From the
Okay,
Congress
that's the
doing
way. Okay, it used to work, so to speak, because it's not working now, right? Not as far as this is concerned.
Right.
Okay.
The other way that actually has never been used, but it's come close, is that 2/3 of the state legislatures call for an Article 5 convention, which is a limited, what do they call it? It's an amendments convention. Some people call it a limited convention, things like that. There are a few different names. We call it an Article 5 convention.
Right, okay.
But anyway, and that would be, each state would send delegates for a convention to hash out an amendment for this issue, on this specific issue. And then once 2/3 of them agree, then it gets sent out to the states, and in the same way, 3/4 of the state legislatures have to agree to ratify it.
Right.
So that's the way that we'd like to go, and
that would actually make it law.
Right.
So
then it would become part of the Constitution in the same way as
how would it like reverse the effects or just put it back? Like before Citizens United, I think there were laws that said that corporations could not give unlimited amounts of money to campaigns, right?
There are a lot of state laws that did that, and the state laws were overruled when Citizens United. I mean, the Supreme Court is the highest law of the land, so the only thing above that is the Constitution. So this is really the only way to address it. States have tried, but they don't have any power against the Supreme Court.
Dark money, that's another term that I think I heard that in the video, one of the videos.
Yeah.
Dark money. I heard that young man was saying something about, he wanted to address the concern about dark money being involved in politics. What exactly is dark money?
So what happens is corporations and wealthy individuals will donate to what's called a political action committee. And then the political action committee can do independent expenditures on behalf of a candidate. So like Citizens United was about this group, Citizens United, were the people who made this movie. And in like the 11th hour of the campaign, they decided they were going to put out this movie that was completely, just denigrating one candidate, right? So they put out this thing, and it has an effect on the election, right? So then, it has a high potential. Well, the people who sponsored that, the people who paid for that, we don't know who they are. Because they donated to a political action committee, and then the political action committee independently made this expenditure, and it's this circumvention of any type of transparency. So the people who donated to it are hidden. And then that, unfortunately, has gotten tied up with free speech. That's
Right.
what the grounds of the Supreme Court have said that. Oh, corporations, should have free speech too. We should all.
Right.
It's not equal.
Mhm.
So when people can spend money behind the scenes, you don't even know who they are. You don't know what industry this is coming from, any of that kind of stuff, and pollute the conversation. Everything else is affected.
Mhm. I can't remember where I read this, but I was doing some reading recently, and I did read about the absurdity of the concept of a corporation and an individual person like myself being equal. Okay? I mean, if I'm up against a corporation, there's some issue that I'm, it's me against them. They have thousands of people that work for them.
Right.
That they can, and they have a bank of lawyers, they have a big war chest, and just little old me. That's not equal. I can tell right now that's not equal. So the whole idea of a corporation being deemed equal in that sense of being able to influence an election, so it's just crazy. I mean, now obviously when people get together and give money to like Wolf PAC. PAC. Wolf PAC is a political action committee too, is it not?
The PAC to end all PACs.
Right.
That's what we
Yeah.
like to say.
Okay. So I mean, I know there's been some talk about getting rid of lobbyists, but is that really something that can happen? I mean, what if there were no lobbyists? I mean, that doesn't sound like that would be a solution either.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't even know. When you talk about a lobbyist, I guess it kind of depends on what the lobbyist can do, and having guidelines around that. So if a lobbyist can go go and schmooze everyone, and think about it, we have laws against pharmaceutical companies that will send people there and their schmooze doctor so that the doctor will, promote their product and stuff like that. We now have laws about that. Now, why would we not, in the same way, why would we not have laws, guidelines around what a lobbyist can do to influence a politician when even their influence, the politician's influence, and power is way greater. It just logically makes sense.
Well, I suppose that a lobbyist can go in and talk to a senator, but when they have, I don't know, I'm going to say gifts, that makes a difference. I mean, when you're, I don't know exactly what they do, but I know that like, for instance, the doctors, in the case where we were talking about the pharmaceutical companies, they get like some sort of credits from the pharmaceutical companies that they can go out to dinner or go take a trip if they write enough prescriptions. So the senators and the congressmen, congresspeople, when they're dealing with lobbyists, they're probably getting some sort of gifts in many cases.
Right.
One way or another, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, tell us more about what's going on right now with Wolf PAC. What do you guys? What's your current goal or whatever you're doing?
Well, the ultimate goal is to get 34 states, which is the 2/3, to propose, to call for an Article 5 convention. We may not ever get to the convention, just to clarify how it's happened in the first place in the past, because we've never actually gotten to an Article 5 convention. What's happened is that enough states have passed that it gets close to that 34 mark, and then Congress does its job.
Oh, then they take the lead, right? They're like, they went, oh, hey, we're gonna make it look like we did it, right?
Right.
Gotcha,
I guess we have to do
Who
this.
gets
Well,
the
you
credit
put them in a
in that?
position where they see that the American people are not going to, just sit by quietly and let this happen. They have to do something about it, and so they do. And that's fine.
Right. It sounds a little bit like the marijuana situation where it seems like every election cycle, more and more states legalize some form of marijuana use. And then eventually, I'm sure what's going to happen is the United States Congress and Senate are going to they're going to say, oh, hey, it's legal, now,
Right.
Because they don't want to be embarrassed by the states basically rolling over on them, I guess. Yeah. Wow.
It's interesting, the resistance to that too.
Right.
You just look around and I think the last poll I saw said 67%. I mean, that's a strong majority of people who think that marijuana should be legal.
Right.
So
right.
it's it's one of those things.
Yeah. we are running out of time, actually. This is a short show, 30 minutes. And I want to give you a chance to, make a last appeal or statement, something along the lines of, last word.
All right.
You got a couple minutes here.
Well, since, we're here in our home state of New Hampshire and everything, I guess I would just make an appeal to anyone who is concerned about this issue and wants to get involved. We need people. We have passed 1 year in the Senate and 1 year in the House of Representatives. And now this year, hopefully, we're going to pass in both of them, and we need as much support as we can get. We need people at the State House. We need people calling their legislators. Any type of support that you can give, it's really important, and it's amazing. You can make a big difference.
So if people want to get in, if people want to get involved, do they Google Wolf PAC?
You can
spell
actually
it
go
for them. It'd probably be
to
good. Yeah.
www.wolf-pac.com. You can find all kinds of information. We don't expect people just to take our word for it. We have all kinds of articles and studies and things that around the issue and stuff, and sign up.
Yeah, it's funny. I have I did look up Wolf PAC, but you got to be careful because it's Wolf WOLF -PAC. If you put the K on the end, you're gonna get like a hockey team.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
You guys don't play hockey, right?
No.
Okay, well, maybe some of you do, but you're not a hockey team. You don't have your own hockey team.
No.
Right? Okay, great. Okay. Well, we're going to sing a song. We had agreed to sing a song together, and Jodi and I are going to do that. We're going to sing a song called Reason to Believe. It's an old Rod Stewart hit, and it's a beautiful song. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe that it's all true. Knowing that you lie straight-faced while I cry, still I look to find a reason to believe. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. If I gave you time to change my mind, I'd find a way just to leave the past behind. Knowing that you lied straight-faced while I cried, still I look to find a reason to believe. Someone like you makes it hard to live without somebody else. Someone like you makes it easy to give. Never think about myself. If I listen long enough to you, I'd find a way to believe that it's all true. Knowing that you lied straight-faced while I cried, still I look to find a reason to you.
Thank you.
Well, hey, folks, that's Jodi and I. We're gonna sing a lot more songs after we turn off the TV cameras. But anyway, tune in next week and see the next Craig Dallas Rise show and catch up with Jodi K. Newell at Wolf PAC. And hope you get really involved because we need to change the situation in our country. Until then, rock on, folks. Oh.